Perfect. So we are ready to go. Welcome everyone to this session on finding purpose, following your purpose with confidence and joy, and how to find true fulfillment. So today I'm going to be covering, first of all, what is life purpose, or what do I mean by life purpose? Why being aligned with yourself and your purpose is the true source of fulfillment. That's the way to reach true fulfillment. And I'm going to be sharing some questions for self-reflection and some tips on how to embark on that journey and how to be more connected with your purpose and how to practice that and embody and follow that path every day. So as always, if you have any questions, if you want to say hi, if you want to share anything about your journey, please feel free to share that in the chat. I always love to hear from you because there is a lot of wisdom in that chat in every session I do. So yeah. So if you were here in last week's talk, we started talking about how material things, and by material things, I mean, having a fancy house or a fancy car, expensive clothes in the wardrobe, going to fancy restaurants, going on expensive holidays, partying all night, and going to the whatever fashionable club. It's going to give you some sense of short-term happiness or short-term satisfaction, but it goes very quickly. And we live in a day and age where everything is about material possessions, everything is about disconnecting from ourselves, from our reality, from our emotions, from who we truly are, and getting caught in the matrix and what's the matrix or society's definition of success. And that seems to be a lot about material things, about power, about having a good job, all those things, right? And even though there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money, there's nothing wrong with having fancy clothes in the wardrobe, there's nothing wrong with going on holidays, I love that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we rely on those material things or experiences to find fulfillment, we're going to have a hard time. We're going to have a hard time because what happens with material things and this type of experiences, and of course not to mention addictions like alcohol and drugs, and it's going to bring you a short-term sense of satisfaction, but you always want more. What you find is that the more you have, the more you need. Once you have a wardrobe full of clothes, you want a dressing room. Once you have a car, you want a more powerful one. Once you have a promotion, you were thinking already about the next one, right? So it's like trying to satisfy thirst, or trying to satisfy your thirst with bread. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's not water. What you need if you're thirsty is water, and you're trying to have something else. And so you're always going to be looking for the next material thing, the next possession, the next happy or joyful or fun experience. But when you are aligned with yourself, when you know who you truly are, when you know your values, when you know what you came here to do, and your life is aligned with that, your path, your lifestyle, your everyday habits, when that is aligned with who you truly are, that's when magic happens, and that's when you can find true fulfillment. And then the clothes, the restaurants, the holidays, the job, that's an extra, that's the cherry on top, right? That's a way to enjoy the physical world, the material world, the 3D world we live in, right? But it doesn't become the source of fulfillment. The source of fulfillment has to come from something else. It's much deeper than that. So you're probably thinking, well, it's not rocket science what you're saying. Of course, if I want to feel fulfilled, if I want to have that sense of inner peace and joy, of course, I'm going to be aligned with myself. But the problem is that as we grow up, when we come to this world, we come with a set of talents and skills, and our heart has a big dream, and we're all different, we are all unique, and we all have different skills, different talents, different things to share with the world, right? But as we grow up and we go through parenting and schooling and being part of a society and a religion and a culture, we start becoming exposed to a lot of conditioning, to a lot of programming, to our parents' beliefs, and they start to tell us what's right and what's wrong, if what we should study, what type of job we should be looking for. And then we go to school, and again they tell us what's wrong and what's right, and they assess us with an exam with random numbers, and they determine if we are smart enough or we are not smart enough for uni or to get a proper job, that path. And then we absorb also different beliefs from our religion, our culture, our country, ancestors, friends, when we start growing up, and because we are social beings and we are always going to crave that sense of belonging, we start to try to fit in. And then we care a lot about what other people think, about what our friends think, our partners, right? So we start to move away from that essence, that true selves, and we start putting on layers, and we start creating kind of like a different persona to make sure that we comply with the rules, that we fit in society, that we fit in our tribe or our community, in our group of friends. And sometimes that can be very different. In some cases it will be the same, and then it's perfectly fine, right? If you can express yourself, if you have a group of friends within your family, without your community, if you can express 100% your true self, if you can express who you truly are, if you're really following your path, if you're really following your heart's desire, then you're going to find that life just flows, that life is so easy, that life is full of joy, full of bliss, life is not about suffering. Life is not about just suffering whatever life wants to throw at us. Then you feel that you're in control of your life, you feel that you are creating the life you want to live, right? But like I said, very, very often they're going to be very different. Our essence, our true self, and the persona we have created, or the layers we have put on, they might be very different. And I'm sure that it happened to me. It's probably happened to you. I'm sure it's happened to at least some of you who are here today. It's probably happened to you that you decided to take a path in life, and whether that's a job or a relationship or a career, a degree, or I'm sure you can think of an example, and you probably started that path, and years later you didn't feel fulfilled. You started to feel like some discomfort, like something wasn't right. And maybe you stopped and thought for a second, how did I get here? How did I end up in this job that I really don't like? How did I end up in this relationship that is making me miserable? How did I end up in this city or in this town? Or how has this become my reality? How has this become my everyday life? How has this become my lifestyle? How did I end up here? And that's very common, and that happens a lot because we often prioritize fitting in and pleasing others. And this is human nature. This is not just listening right now and resonating with this is all of us, because we are social beings. Because back in the day, thousands of years ago, not being part of a tribe, not being accepted, being rejected or kicked out of the tribe meant you wouldn't survive. You wouldn't last for a day on your own in the forest, in the jungle, in the desert. You needed that community, and that's still part of our survival instinct, right? So very often we are going to prioritize fitting in at whatever cost rather than expressing our true selves. Not to mention, and I'm going to touch upon this a bit later, not to mention that very often traumatic experiences or painful experiences like being bullied at school, or not being able to express yourself at home, being home, that you're silly, that you're just dreaming, that you just have to, be realistic, that there was something wrong with you. We start to kind of silence our own truth. We start to silence ourselves again to survive, because that's the priority as a child, right? So that again makes us create layers and create a different kind of personality, or not personality, but a different persona, or a different, we put on when we take on these roles, right? But that's not who we truly are. So we're going to be exploring all this later in the session. Ruth is saying, I don't know what it is anymore, following my heart desire. I tried a lot of things, and a part of me got disappointed that this magic that life flows when I follow it doesn't exist. Very interesting. And that's one of the things that I was going to say next when I'm talking about life purpose. Very often, I hear people talking about life purpose as something very big that you need to identify, like a really big mission that you came here to do. And some people have that. And for some people, that would mean, save lives. For some people, that would mean impacting millions of lives, millions of human beings. For some people, that might be, I don't know, inventing, a wonderful life-saving device, or creating a new type of art. I don't know, like a really big thing. But not all of us came here to do something so big, and that's fine. And that's fine. And very often we compare to others. We compare to, for example, I might compare myself to a coach that has millions of followers on YouTube, and that has made millions of dollars or pounds, and that has impacted, I don't know, millions of people with their online courses. Yeah, and that's their purpose, that's their journey, but that is not mine. And purpose doesn't mean a big thing or a big achievement. We can get very frustrated with this, and then you try hard, and you try to find that thing, and you try to find that magic, and it never comes. It never comes, because you're comparing yourself against others. So life purpose is, first of all, is about your journey. It's not about others. It's not about comparing yourself to others. And it doesn't need to be a big mission. It can be as simple as learning a lesson, embarking on a healing journey, being kind to your neighbors, and just being part of a nice community in a town of 20 people. It could be being a mother. It doesn't need to impact millions of people. It doesn't need to be, a huge achievement. It can be much more subtle than that. I'm gonna catch up with the comments. So I'm at a point where I don't know, and increasingly more okay with not knowing. It's a weird phase, because I also had moments where I really knew it, and it's not now. And another thing I want to add is that life, because it's not this big mission, and it's not this big statement, and it's not this big thing that you need to identify or realize and then execute it, and then if you fail, you wasted a lifetime. No, it's not about that. It might change. It will probably change throughout your life, and there are different seasons in life, and there are different phases in life when and I have experienced this myself. I can talk from my own experience. I have felt for me, the common topic has been healing, and healing from past conditioning. And at some points of my life, I have felt that my calling has been to just do it for myself, and just sitting quietly at home, going through my own healing and putting myself together. And then, there's also a big element of sharing it with others. Like, I come here every week and share these talks, and I make the courses, and I offer my healing coaching programs. So I feel that it's part of my calling. But tomorrow, I don't know. Today, I feel that my calling, what my heart desires, what my heart is telling me to do, is go on Inside Timer and tell these people about your experience, and how your life changed when you broke free from the conditioning of your past, and how much better you feel after doing all this healing, and share the techniques you have with them and offer them to them. But it's not always been the case. And maybe tomorrow, or next year, or in 10 years, I'm going to be doing something completely different. So I think the first step is kind of like taking that pressure of ourselves, and that weight of our shoulders, that we have to know a big thing, and fulfill it, of course, and achieve it, because otherwise we wasted this lifetime. And no, sometimes it's just about going, listening to your heart and doing whatever it's telling you to do. And that can be very simple. For me, I was very frustrated I think a few years ago when I was doing a lot of different trainings, my shamanic energy healing training, and I was doing theta healing and, you know, a lot of energy healing techniques that I was training for to become a practitioner. But I felt that it wasn't the time to get clients. It wasn't the time to put myself out there. And when I was checking with my heart, with my soul, with my higher self, you know, whatever you want to call it, when I was tuning in with that, and I felt very connected to it, everything I tried to do was no. The only thing that felt right was wake up, eat healthy food, fast, meditate, heal, apply this to yourself. And I was like, but that's so boring. Like, I really need to help people. I need to have a big purpose. I need to have a big mission. Can't be sitting here on my ass all day at home doing the healing. I need to go and do something with it. And eventually, you know, because normally it's only years later when you try to fight your higher self or your soul guidance or what your heart is telling you to do, it's only later after fighting it when you realize, there was a reason for that. And eventually I realized that that's exactly what I needed to do. Because if I hadn't gone through that intense period of healing myself, I wouldn't have been in a position to help others. So yeah, it was exactly what I needed to do. And it wasn't a big thing. It wasn't something to post on Instagram about. It wasn't something I felt very proud of, but it's what I needed to do. And yeah, it's a shame that I tried to fight it a lot back then and didn't just surrender to it. I kind of did, but fighting it a little bit, let's be honest. So yeah, and I felt that was my purpose at that time, just going through that healing, so then I could use it for something different. So it will change, and the key is being in tune with it, being connected to yourself, and making sure that and I'm going to talk about it in a minute, making sure that there's nothing getting in the way, that the programming, the conditioning, the blocks, the pain, the limiting beliefs, that is not there. And once you remove that, and I don't think you get to a point where it's like, boom, magic, I have removed all my limiting beliefs, all my blocks, you know. But when you remove enough, when you start going through that journey of peeling off the layers and letting go of what is not you, then you can start to become more in tune with yourself. Then you become more aligned with yourself. And then it's much easier to find a purpose, to find a motivation. Debbie saying, my whole life has changed. I have left an abusive relationship after 25 years and feel lost with my life, being a mom and my career. As I've lost my family unit, I feel I have lost my purpose. Well, first of all, congratulations, Dev, because if you have left an abusive relationship, that's only good news. Now, what this stage you are is perfectly normal. And the thing is that, imagine you've been in that 25-year-old relationship. Think about it like a hamster wheel, right? So you've been running in that abusive relationship, probably not taking you anywhere, and suffering and, you know, and being hurt in the hamster wheel. And now suddenly, after 25 years running really fast in the same wheel, you have jumped off. Yeah, of course you're going to feel dizzy and disorientated and like, whoa, what's going on now? I've been 25 years in this wheel, and now what's in store for me? That was giving you a purpose, that running in that hamster wheel, right? And I had it in my corporate job, for example. I was running fast, and that kept me very, very busy, and that gave me a sense of purpose, getting another promotion, getting a better job, making more money, having a more powerful position, you know. That gave me a lot of direction and motivation to keep running, until at some point I was like, this doesn't feel right at all. So let me jump off. And when I jumped off, it took me a while to figure out what was out there in the world outside of the hamster wheel. So it is a very beautiful phase to be in. I know you're probably saying, yeah, I bet you don't know what I'm going through. But trust me, it is a beautiful stage to be in, because if you embrace, if you give yourself patience and self-love, and you embrace this moment, this period of time, as a self-discovery journey, as a self-exploration journey, the opportunities that can open up in front of you are endless. The sky is the limit. So I know that right now it feels like, yeah, dizzy and confused and not knowing where to go, and that, and of course you're still grieving that. So of course you're going to feel lost. Of course you're going to feel like you've lost your purpose, because there is so much to grieve, right? There's so many experiences, so much of your life to grieve. So that's also a process on its own. But then from there, once you grieve that, the opportunities that can open up in front of you are endless, and probably, I'm sure of it, in much more resonance. If you take this opportunity to go within and to do the healing and grieve that and find your authentic self, the opportunities that are going to open up in front of you are going to be much more in resonance with you, and you're going to find eventually much more fulfillment. I feel I'm good enough with healing and in that phase now too. And it's so scary to become more visible. Yeah, of course. This journey is not easy. The deep inner work, guys, is not easy. I always say in these sessions, and I'm sure the ones of you who come to these sessions and are attracted to or resonate to these sessions are not here for easy talk, or no, you're here to do the deep work, and that's not easy. Of course, that's not easy. It can be scary at many points. So yeah, well done, all of you. Yeah, Nicole is saying things will change for the better before you know it. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, in terms of going back to the idea of purpose and getting a bit of or taking the pressure off in terms of finding the purpose, the big mission, right? Because some people are like, I don't think I have one. No, because not everyone does. But I want to share with you a concept that I really love. There is a book called Ikigai. It's a Japanese word, and it's a book where the author goes to, I think they're called blue zones or something like that. So small towns in the world where people live really long, many years, like over 100, like a ridiculous average of life expectancy, like over 110 years or something like that. And so he goes to these places to explore what they have in common. And he goes to an island in Japan, and he assesses what people do, and he starts to look at the diet. I don't remember exactly all the details, but there's a lot about drinking green tea and doing some movement in the morning, eating fish, certain customs and lifestyle, of course, like no pollution and very clean environment, clean water. But one of the main things he says that really struck him was that everyone in the town, regardless of their age, they had a very strong sense of community, of contributing to the community. And that's the word they have for it, ikigai. And they said that even old people, they would have something to do. They would start the day and they would do some gardening, but if they're a good gardener, they would go and help the neighbor, or they would go to a small hut in the town and gather together and talk about the community, and they would share their wisdom. So there is this sense of community, this sense of belonging. And I found this concept very beautiful, as simple as it is, as simple as many Japanese things are, right? And sometimes beauty and the magic is in the most simple things. And I thought, wow, that's incredible, because that can give you such a sense of purpose without having to find that big thing, big mission, big calling. Some people will have it. If you have it, if you've heard it, if your heart is speaking to you, if your soul is calling you to do something great, go do it. Don't wait. Leave this session. What are you waiting for? Go and do it. There's no time to waste. But sometimes the magic of finding true fulfillment and finding purpose can come for something as simple as being part of a community, as helping your neighbor do something, being kind to others, sharing a talent you have, teaching the kids. I don't know. It could be about, sharing your art, for example. If you're good at painting, if you're good at making crafts, if you're good at singing, dancing, I don't know. It could be about sharing that. And it doesn't need to be about becoming the next pop star. It could be just sharing it in your local town or wherever you live, right? So it's a lot of that sense of purpose and fulfillment sometimes comes from really simple and really small things. And at this point, probably you're a bit disappointed, thinking, "Oh, I thought you were gonna help me identify this big vision that I've been waiting for my life, and now you're telling me this." So I'm really sorry for what you were expecting was to, yeah, to find that like big thing. And like I said, it might be for some of you, it might be, but it's not for everyone, and that's fine. And that's fine, because I hear a lot of people when they talk about purpose, like this thing that you have to find, that you need to, become aware of, and that you need to understand, and then of course achieve it. Otherwise you're wasting your life. And I don't think it's the case. So this concept of ikigai really caught my attention, and I think it's a really nice principle and idea to live by. Because then when you are aligned, so let's say that you have find your ikigai or your purpose, or you're a bit more connected to it, whether that's a small thing or a big thing, it doesn't matter. But when you start to understand who you truly are, your values, your principles, what you can bring to the community, what you can bring to your family, what you can bring to work, what you can share with the world, whether that's with 3 people in your small town or whether that's with the whole of the internet, the key is to live in alignment with that, with what resonates with you. And for that, you might need to go through a process of removing different layers, different conditioning, different programming. I think last week I gave the example that actually I'm stealing from one of my clients. Out of nowhere, in a moment of inspiration, she came with this beautiful analogy that I think Michelangelo, one of these wonderful artists, that used to make marble statues, and how the idea is that they don't create something from a piece of marble. The piece was always there in that square block or in that shapeless block. It was already inside it. What he did was to remove what didn't belong. It was just to remove what was covering it, but the piece was already there. And I found it absolutely amazing and really inspiring. And I thought, well, that's what life is about. That's what self-discovery is about, isn't it? Our inner power, our inner wisdom, our inner treasures, our talents, our skills are already within you. Have that already within you. It's there. All you need to do is remove what is covering it, whether that's tainted glasses because of certain beliefs we might have, and we see the reality in a different way, whether that's emotions or trauma or pain or experiences that haven't been resolved and have left an imprint, whether that's old stories that we keep telling ourselves, the self-narrative, especially the negative self-narrative, the roles we take on. For example, I remember when I started working in the corporate world, that what I had been programmed to, right? Go to school, go to uni, get good marks, get a good job, well paid, big company, and that's what I did, because that's what I was programmed to do, and I did very well. It's just that I just found it so empty, and despite having it all apparent on the surface, I had it all, but I felt so unfulfilled, so dissatisfied. And I thought, why? My life is perfect. My friends envy me. What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with what was wrong with me? Well, there was nothing wrong with me. What was wrong was that I wasn't living my life. I wasn't living the life I wanted to live. I was living the life that I had been programmed to live. And I was living the life that I decided that was safe for me. But later, I realized that was not my definition of success. That was society's definition of success, my parents' definition of success. That was not my definition of success. So I was banging myself against the wall because I was trying to be really good at something. I was really trying and I was really making progress. But I was trying to be good at something that was not what I really wanted to do, what my heart wanted to do. So it was such an inner conflict. It was such an inner conflict. And eventually when I started to do more healing and self-discovery, I had to let go of those roles that I was taking on, that my ego loved. The successful corporate girl, the smart one, the one who always gets good marks, the one who always gets the promotion, you know, all that mad, all those layers, all those roles. That was not who I truly was. So it doesn't matter how many promotions I would get. I was never going to be happy because that was not what my heart wanted to do. Right. So I had to let go of all that narrative, all those stories, all those roles, and find who I truly was inside. I think, sorry, what, where? Who are you then? And it turned out I was a very different, not that I was a very different person, because it was always there, but without that conditioning, without that programming, without those roles and, yeah, it turned out that what was within me, my heart, was very, very different, very, very different. So I would like to share some questions for self-reflection with you, to help you connect a little bit with that core, with that essence part of you, because there might be some layers still. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to reach that core, that marble statue, the super refined marble statue, the true essence, the true you, right? So the first question that I'm going to invite you to reflect on, Nicole is saying so many layers. Oh, I had endless layers, and he was like, oh, I removed this layer, amazing, only to find that there were another 3. Oh, and then another one. Oh, and then another one, like an onion. Right? So yeah, awareness is the first step to healing. So many years of my life, I wasn't even aware that I had those layers, that I had those roles, that I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. I wasn't even aware of. That's the worst possible situation to be in. You can be, overwhelmed, and because you are aware that there is so much to heal. You can be completely lost in life because of a big shift, a big change, and now things are different, and what am I going to do next? You can feel very confused, not knowing the answers. You can be going through many different challenges, and that can be tough. But the worst possible situation to be in is not even being aware that something needs to change, not even being aware that there are some layers that you have to get rid of, because then you live in complete ignorance, and the dissatisfaction, the unfulfillment still there, the frustration still there, but you don't have a clue why. And that's why many people turn to alcohol, drugs, addictions, and addictions can be social media, it can be holidays. Like, I used to be addicted to go on weekend trips and partying every weekend, and drinking my money away in the weekends, because Monday to Friday my life sucked, and I was like, it was like a burden. It felt like a prison, and a lot of people used to say, oh yeah, you're so lucky to have the job you have, and you have a stable job and you're making money. Like, how can you even complain? It's true. Yeah, how can I even complain? So if I complain, that made me a bad person for complaining. So the solution was, let's get drunk Friday night, because that's the only option I see. Let's go on many weekend trips as possible. Holidays, of course. I always had to be busy doing something, because otherwise I would connect with, the pain of having my soul screaming, this is not what you're meant to be doing. So yeah. So when you know that there are many layers to heal, when you know that there is healing to do, when you don't know what to do next, but you know that you have to do something about it, it's still a good situation to be in. Being oblivious, it's the worst possible situation to be in, because then, yeah, you suffer and you don't even know why. You don't even know that there is something else waiting for you at the end of the tunnel. So, questions for self-reflection. What did you love doing as a kid? And this very often can take us in touch with our true self, because when we're kids, we haven't been programmed yet. Unfortunately, we are normally programmed and conditioned at a very early age, especially when we go to school that early, and parenting, of course. And but if you think about, like, when you were a kid, what could you get lost in for hours? What is something that you enjoyed doing, that you could do for hours, that you could just forget about the world? What did you dream of when you were a kid? And this doesn't necessarily mean that, that if you enjoyed, I don't know, dancing in your bedroom, you have to become a professional dancer. It's not about that. But it is showing that your soul is creative, that maybe you enjoy, that you have to add more movement to your life, more music, more beauty, more creativity. So it's not to take it literally, but connecting or going back in time and remembering what you enjoy doing, what they said about you, your main qualities, the qualities you had as a kid. Because when we're young, we're innocent, and again, we haven't been programmed yet. We're not afraid of failing. If you see kids playing, they're not afraid of failing. They're not worried. They don't care who they're playing with. They don't care if anyone's looking. They don't care about tomorrow. They don't have fear of not having roof under their head. They don't fear. They just are. They just do what their heart tells them to do. They express their creativity in many ways. And then they start going to school, and then the only way to measure your intelligence is through this test and this exam, and then everything gets messed up, and so many abilities, so many natural talents become dormant, and so many dreams get thrown down the drain, because adults don't understand or don't give the space to those abilities to flourish. So that's one of the things that I'm going to invite you to reflect on. And of course, you might not get the answers here while I'm still talking, blah, blah, blahing all the time. And, you might be on the go, listening through your phone, but you can write down the themes or the questions that I'm going to share with you, and do some self-reflection when you're in nature, when you're meditating, when you have a bit more time, when you're on your own. So that's the first one. The second question I'm going to invite you to reflect on is, what makes your heart sing? What is something that you do, a topic you read books on? What is something that you really enjoy, where you are fully, fully present, when you're not worrying about something else, that you're just immersed? What makes your heart sing? Not your head. Not your head deciding if you're very successful, if you achieve this or that. Not that satisfaction that comes from the head, from the logical thinking, the satisfaction, the joy that comes from the heart, from knowing that, you know, you can feel. For me, one of those things is dancing, for example. I can dance for hours and I wouldn't think about what I'm worrying about. I'm just lost in the music. I'm there in the present moment. My heart expands, my heart sings, sometimes literally. Now, does it mean that that is my purpose? Going back to the topic of mission and purpose, does it mean that that is my purpose, that is my calling? No, I consider it many times to become a dance teacher, because I thought, if this is something that I love so much, maybe this has to be my career, right? Because sometimes we associate purpose with career, and very often they will be connected. So, for example, for me, I do believe that my purpose of helping people heal and reclaim their power, um, it's my full-time career. It hasn't always been, but it is now. But dancing, for example, is something that for me is deeply in my heart, and it really makes my heart sing. It doesn't, I decided to not make it my career for many reasons, but it's something that I always add to my life, because I know that that's how I express my creativity, and that's how part of me remains alive. And is that purpose? Maybe not, depending on what your definition of purpose is, because it will be different for each one of us here today. Will have a different definition of what purpose is. But for me, dancing, I know that it's a tool to express my creativity, moving, especially feminine dancing, Latin dance, or heels. I absolutely love it. It reflects my personality, and for me, that's part of my purpose, or what makes me feel that I'm living on purpose, and that I am, and that brings me true fulfillment, because it's something that is in resonance with who I truly am, and it's a tool for me to express myself. Then the healing side of thing is my purpose in a different sense of the word. That's my career. That's my motivation to get up. That's my reason to want to be better, to heal myself as much as possible, so I can be in the best position possible to help others, right? And it also makes my heart sing. Every time I learn a new discipline, or even doing these sessions, my heart is singing right now. You can't hear it. I promise, my heart is singing right now, talking to you every week when I come to do these sessions. And that's how I know that it's the right thing to do. And that's how I know that I am alive, because my heart sings. So another question for you to reflect on: what makes your heart sing? And again, it can be something very silly, like, going to a Latin dance class, like for me. It can be something related to your career. It can be anything in between, so no expectations, just reflect on the question. Another question, and I absolutely love this question. I always spend some time when I'm working with a client, and and they feel a bit lost, and they feel like they're called to do something, but they're not sure what. The question I always ask them is, if you had all the money in the world, what will you do with your time? How would you spend your life? And at the beginning, maybe the first answer is going to be, going on holidays. I would go to the Caribbean. I would drink mojitos all day. I would sit on a beach. I promise you, there is only so much mojitos you can drink on a beach until you get bored. Eventually, you will get bored. Maybe you will have fun for a year or two, but eventually you will get bored. So if you go past the moment of, having fun, or maybe because you need a rest, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? How would you spend your time? JG says travel. I love traveling as well. And traveling is such a mind opener when you're with different cultures, and you learn, different languages, different countries, different people. Volunteer my time. Yeah, right. So volunteer my time to do what? Because very often what we would do Very often they say, yeah, I would start a charity. Very often with my clients, I would start a charity. All right. A charity to do what? Well, to help, I don't know, to help people in my country of origin, or to help the homeless, or to help women who have been through domestic abuse. Fantastic. Why don't you do it now? And I was like, oh, maybe I could do a bit of it. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to quit your full-time job to do that. But adding an element of that to your life, feed the children that are poor, beautiful purpose, um, uh, beautiful goal. So maybe there is something you can do that you can add to your life already. And it doesn't need to be, like I said, quitting your full-time job to do that, and not have an income and just start your own charity out of nowhere. But there are lots of things that you can do, even within your local community, to start bringing that feeling of fulfillment. And then you can have a job, and and you can do other things. It doesn't need to be your big mission. But if that is what you would like to do, if you had no, I was going to say if you had no money, if you didn't have to make money, so if you had all the money in the world, very often that takes us to the heart, because very often, especially in this society, and next week I'm going to be covering the topic of abundance. And there is so much about being obsessed with money and making money. And yeah, we live in the 3D world and we have to pay bills. Totally agree. But there is so much attachment to money. And sometimes when we detach, yes, Alison, I will repeat all the questions at the end. Sometimes when we detach, because we tend to have the belief that we either make money and survive in this world, or we do something we love, we do something that we enjoy. I really had this deep belief that was messing with me so badly, because I thought, if I make money, I have to work in the corporate world. It's the only way to make money. There's no way I'm going to have a job I enjoy, I love, that makes my heart sing and make a decent living. It's not possible. So when we detach ourselves from the you have to, is when we start connecting to our heart. And you don't have to live it all, but you can add a bit of that to your life, and then you will feel, that sense of fulfillment, that sense of purpose. And again, it doesn't need to be changing, putting your life upside down to start a big purpose, a big project. It can be just, something very simple that you do once a week or something like that. And the other question that I'm going to invite you to reflect on is, if you are in your deathbed today and look back, what would you like to have achieved? What would you like to leave behind? What legacy would you be happy to leave behind? And this is a very philosophical question, right? But for me, is when I think it's when one of the key moments in my transformation was when I saw myself 80 something, now 100 and something, because I'm planning to live until I'm very, very old, and healthily. I saw myself looking back and having spent 60 years of my life in a gray office, putting numbers in a spreadsheet, and I wanted to kill myself. My 80 something year old screamed at me saying, please don't do this to me. And I'm even getting emotional now, because, and I know that when that happens is like a big truth, or my heart like really speaking. And I thought, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. I'm not going to let that happen. I might fail in the process badly, and I've failed many times. I might make mistakes. I've made endless mistakes, countless mistakes. I might mess up. I've messed up several times, but I'm going to try, because that outcome, that's not what I want for me. That's not how I want to live this life. That's not how I want to say goodbye. to this life. I want to do something different. So that's a deep one. That's why I'm saving this one for the end. And that might take a bit of, reflection, and at different times as well, because, these questions might have different answers depending on when you're reflecting on them. JG says, I hear you. Yeah, I'm sure more people, have thought about that or are having those thoughts. Yeah, I know this is something that a lot of people feel and go through, and yeah, that's why I always feel inspired to share my story, not because I think that people care, or just to just because I know that a lot of people out there will resonate with it, and I know that there is a way out, and I know that there is another path that can make you feel much more fulfilled, much more aligned, like a true feeling of joy and inner peace that doesn't come from material things or that type of satisfaction. It can't compare. Oh, I hear you now, JG, say my teenage years were rough. Yeah, same for me. I went through a lot of pain and trauma, my parents getting divorced, my dad leaving. Yeah, lots of stuff going on that made me put all those layers, all the, I'm this strong, successful woman, nothing can touch me, emotionless. And then, yeah, when I started to remove those layers, I was like, ooh, there's a lot to heal here, and there is so much more to me than this role that I have built for myself. So I will be here all day, but I need to wrap up soon because I have a lovely client to see right now in 5 minutes. So the questions that I promised I will share at the end for self-reflection are: what did you love doing when you were a kid? What could you just get lost in time and forget about the world? Something that you really love doing. What makes your heart sing? If you had all the money in the world, what would you do with your time? How would you spend your life? And if you were in your deathbed and look back in your life, what would you like to have achieved, or what legacy would you like to leave behind you? So guys, thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, oh, thank you, Nicole, for being here. Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed the session. If you enjoyed this session, my course, Step into Your Power with Confidence and Joy, is a 7-day course that I have here on Insight Timer, will take you in a journey of getting clarity on your big vision, and it will help you identify any resistance, any hidden blocks, the conditioning, the programming that we were talking about. And it has some really powerful healing meditations and energy healing techniques to transmute, to clear those blocks, and kind of to reprogram your subconscious mind, so your beliefs, your mindset, your energy is aligned with that vision. I have other courses here on Insight Timer, one on self-love and one on relationships. And next week, I have 2 live sessions coming up. So the Monday weekly one, sorry, I keep changing the time because it depends on the sessions I have in my diary. So next week is at 6 p.m. UK time. Monday, we're going to do some tapping for abundance. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be doing a session like this, more of a talk with prompts for self-reflection and advice, and it's going to be about how to reclaim your abundance. And that's going to be a very interesting one, because there is so many blocks around money and so much attachment around money. Thank you, Nicole, for your donation, much appreciated. So feel free to follow me on Insight Timer to get notified of next live sessions, recorded content, new courses. And thank you so much, guys, for your reviews, your feedback, your generous donations. They're very welcome and much appreciated. They do make my heart sing. You guys are what make my heart sing. And they give me so much motivation to keep coming back and providing these sessions, this content. So I really appreciate every single one of you. I love when I see, I don't know, probably you can see the same, all the circles here with the little faces. So even if you don't say anything, even if you don't have the face in your circle, but every person who is here, I appreciate every single one of you. And I'm really grateful for having you in my world. So beautiful souls, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a message. I'm always happy to hear from you. Sending much love and light. Bye.